I want you to picture a scenario. And I mean, I guarantee you have lived through this exact incredibly frustrating moment.
Oh, I'm sure I have.
Right. So you're at the mall. Your arms are just absolutely loaded down with this huge assortment of hangers.
Yeah.
And the cheap plastic is like actively digging into your palms.
Yeah.
And you're just standing there in this seemingly endless line just to get into a changing room.
Yes. The universally dreaded retail bottleneck. It's pretty much the moment where the joy of shopping usually goes to die.
It really is. And then, when you finally get in there, what are you actually faced with?
Usually a mess.
Right. You get this curtain that, for some reason, never seems to close all the way.
There's always that one little gap.
Exactly. A mirror with weird smudges on it, and just the most unforgiving, actively hostile fluorescent lighting known to humanity.
It's the worst.
And then the actual workout begins, right? You're physically taking your clothes off, putting new clothes on, realizing the fit is just entirely wrong.
Usually instantly.
Yeah, so you're taking them off again, trying not to get a massive static shock from some wool sweater, and then, putting your original clothes back on.
It's just an exhausting process. And honestly, from a retail perspective, it's incredibly inefficient.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, that high level of friction is it's a primary reason a lot of people just look at the line for the fitting room, abandon the items they wanted to buy on some nearby table, and just walk right out of the store.
Well, according to the insights we're looking at today, those days of wrestling with garments in a tiny, sweaty cubicle, they are officially numbered.
Thankfully.
Right. So today's deep dive is centered on some really fascinating research and industry mapping from the fashion tech platform Apparelizer.
It's a great read.
It really is. They've published this extensive look into the rise of augmented reality mirrors. We're talking about AR mirrors that are actively being designed to completely eliminate the need for physical changing rooms.
Yeah, and we're going to look under the hood at how this underlying technology actually functions because, it is far more complex than just snapping a photo with a fun filter on your phone.
Definitely.
We'll explore the tangible benefits for you as a shopper, the surprisingly high stakes for major retail brands, and, of course, the very real hurdles the industry still has to clear before we see this in, every local shop.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because on the surface, standing in front of a piece of glass and instantly seeing your reflection wearing a completely different, perfectly tailored outfit,
Yeah.
it feels like absolute magic.
Oh, completely.
But before we can really understand how this changes consumer behavior, we need to demystify the tech a little bit. How is the mirror actually pulling off the trick?
Well, it certainly feels like magic to the user, but what you're really looking at is this highly orchestrated symphony of advanced hardware and software.
Right.
And they have to communicate with each other in, fractions of a second. The Apparelizer piece breaks down the architecture of these modern AR mirrors into 4 foundational pillars.
Let's walk through those. Because when I first started reading through the source material, my mind immediately went to, a video game character customization screen.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know the kind, right? Where you just click a button and your digital avatar is suddenly wearing a blue jacket instead of a red one.
Right.
But in a video game, the character is already a pre-rendered 3D model made of polygons.
Yeah.
In the real world, the mirror's physics engine has to somehow render digital fabric on a living, breathing, constantly shifting human being.
Exactly.
So if I'm standing there, twirling in a virtual dress, how does the machine actually know how the fabric is supposed to fall and fold?
Well, what's fascinating here is how the system solves that exact geometry problem. It starts with the first pillar, which is body detection.
Okay.
The mirror isn't just taking a flat two-dimensional picture of you. It's actually equipped with depth sensing cameras.
So mapping the space.
Right. Think of the Face ID technology on your smartphone, but scaled up to map your entire body. It projects thousands of invisible infrared dots to conduct a real-time scan of your physical dimensions, your proportions, and, crucially, your posture.
Wait, okay, but if the camera's mapping my body, what happens if I walk up to the mirror wearing a really bulky winter coat?
Yeah.
How does the sensor know my actual body geometry underneath all that extra fabric? Wouldn't the computer just think I'm shaped like a giant marshmallow?
That is a great question,
Yeah.
and it's where the initial mapping gets really clever. The software doesn't just look at the surface outline.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, it relies on trained algorithms that estimate your underlying skeletal structure based on visible joints.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it looks at where your neck meets your shoulders, your wrists, your ankles. It basically creates a digital skeleton and anchor, essentially regardless of how baggy your current clothes are.
Okay, so it builds an invisible wireframe of my body in three-dimensional space.
Precisely. And that leads directly to the second pillar, which answers your question about twirling.
The motion aspect.
Right, motion tracking. As you shift your weight or spin around, the sensors are tracking the movement of those joint nodes at roughly 60 frames per second.
Wow.
Yeah, the software anticipates your movement so the virtual clothing stays anchored to you naturally.
So if I lift my arm, the digital sleeve wrinkles and pulls upward in the exact same millisecond.
Yes. And that is incredibly processing intensive. Which brings us to the third pillar, artificial intelligence.
The brain of the whole thing.
Exactly. The AI acts as the brain of the operation. It's constantly analyzing your body type and actively comparing it to a massive database of garment measurements.
Okay.
This allows it to recommend suitable sizes or even alternate cuts. It's not just reflecting an image, it's actively evaluating the fit.
So it's acting as a digital stylist, basically thinking, based on this shoulder width, we need to render a medium, not a large.
Correct. And finally, the fourth pillar is what makes the whole illusion convincing to the human eye, and that's real-time rendering.
The graphics.
Right. To make that virtual medium-sized jacket look authentic, the system uses high-speed graphics processing to simulate material physics.
Meaning it knows the difference between how, like, a heavy denim jacket moves versus a super light silk shirt.
Exactly. The rendering engine calculates how the specific fabric of that exact garment would drape over your specific body shape.
That is wild.
It is. It simulates realistic lighting, calculating how the fabric reflects the ambient light in the room, the texture of the material, and even the shadows it casts on your physical body.
Right, because if the shadows are off, you'll know instantly.
Absolutely. If there's even a slight delay or lighting error, the human brain instantly registers it as fake, and the entire illusion breaks.
Yeah.
The fact that the depth sensors, the motion tracking, the AI sizing, and the material rendering could all sync up flawlessly in real time is just a staggering leap in retail technology.
It really reframes the whole concept.
Yeah.
Because we're basically talking about outfitting a dressing room with the kind of computing power you usually find in a high-end gaming PC or like a self-driving car.
Pretty much, yeah.
But that level of hardware and processing power cannot be cheap. So why put this in a mall? I mean, if a retailer has to spend a fortune installing these interactive displays, the return on investment has to be phenomenal.
Oh, the return on investment is the entire driving force behind this trend, and it functions as this really interesting two-way street.
How so?
Well, it fundamentally improves the experience for the shopper, which in turn completely transforms the back-end logistics for the store.
Well, for the shopper, I mean, the appeal is immediate. Speed is the really obvious one.
Yeah.
We talked about the headache of the traditional changing room. With an AR mirror, you can try on 40 different outfits in 3 minutes without ever unbuttoning your shirt.
Exactly.
There's zero waiting in line.
And it completely removes the decision fatigue associated with physical changing. You can do instant comparative shopping.
Right.
Let's say you like the cut of a specific sweater. With the simple swipe of your hand in the air, you can see it rendered on your body in navy, then burgundy, then forest green, just cycling through the entire inventory in seconds.
Plus, and the source material highlights this, as a major selling point, it maintains a highly hygienic environment.
Yes.
You aren't forcing yourself into a shirt that, a dozen other sweaty people have struggled to pull over their heads that afternoon.
It's a very real concern.
You're just standing comfortably in your own clothes.
Right. And that hygiene factor, combined with the sheer frictionless convenience of it all, leads directly to the retailer benefits.
Which is where the money is.
Exactly. The initial data shows that this interactive technology dramatically increases customer engagement. People simply stay in the store longer.
Because it's fun.
Exactly. They interact with a wider variety of products because it's effortless, and ultimately that drives up conversion rates. They make a purchase.
Okay, so what does this all mean? I definitely understand the convenient side of the equation, and it is very obvious why a retail brand wants us playing with a captivating screen so we spend more time and money in their store.
Sure.
But I have to ask, is this just a highly effective, shiny gimmick to push more product? Or does it actually solve a systemic problem in the retail industry?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
you are hitting on the exact reason the industry considers this a vital utility, not just a gimmick.
Like, hey.
Yes, it certainly drives initial sales, but The true financial prize for retailers is the reduction in product returns.
Oh.
It is an astronomical logistical win.
Because reverse logistics, basically handling returns, is an absolute nightmare for the supply chain.
An incredibly expensive nightmare. Think about the life cycle of a returned item.
Okay.
A customer buys 3 sizes of the same dress online or in-store, planning to keep one and return 2.
Guilty. I definitely do that.
A lot of people do. But when those 2 dresses come back, the retailer has to pay for the return shipping. They have to pay warehouse labor to manually inspect the items for damage or wear. They have to pay for repackaging.
And often, they don't even bother, right?
Unfortunately, yes. The environmental and financial cost is just staggering. Frequently, returned inventory is simply discarded, liquidated, or sent straight to landfills because the labor required to restock an item actually costs more than the profit margin of the garment itself.
That is wild. I mean,
Yeah.
think about that for a second. Think about that pair of pants sitting in your closet right now, the ones you kept even though they don't quite fit, just because you couldn't be bothered to print out the return label and find a drop-off box.
Right, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And why do people return clothes in the first place?